Hello, friends. Rahul Jha welcomes you. Today, we will be talking on a topic how deserts can be made green. So, let's start. How deserts can be made green. Turning deserts green, a process known as desert greening, involves various strategies aimed at restoring vegetation and ecosystems in arid regions. While transforming deserts into lush green landscapes entirely may not be feasible, several methods can help mitigate desertification and promote sustainable development. Here are some approaches. Water management. Water is crucial for vegetation growth. Implementing efficient water management techniques such as drip irrigation, rainwater harvesting, and use of grey water, that is recycled wastewater from household and industries, can help sustain plant life in desert areas. Desalination plants can also provide fresh water in coastal desert regions. Afforestation and reforestation. Planting trees and other vegetation species adapted to and conditions can stabilize soil, prevent erosion, and provide shade, thus creating microclimates conducive to further plant growth. Native species are preferred as they are better adapted to the local environment. Permaculture. Permaculture principles emphasize sustainable agricultural practice that work with nature rather than adjust it, that is, against it. Techniques such as mulching, contouring, and creating swales can help retain moisture on the soil and support plant growth in desert environments. Soil improvement. Desert soils are often nutrient poor and lack organic matter. Adding organic compost, manure, or biochar to the soil can enhance its fertility and water retention capacity, promoting plant growth. Use of drought resistance crop. Introducing drought resistant crop varieties and native plant species that require minimal water contribute to greening efforts in desert region. Agave, prickly pear cactus, and jojoba are examples of plants that can thrive in and conditions. Windbreaks and shelter belts. Planting rows of trees or shrubs perpendicular to prevailing winds can help reduce soil erosion and create more favorable microclimates for vegetation growth by providing shelter from harsh winds. Solar desalination and energy. Using solar energy for desalination process can provide a sustainable source of fresh water in desert region. Additional renewable energy sources such as solar and wind power can support agricultural greening initiatives in these areas. Community involvement and education. Engaging local communities in desert greening projects and providing education on sustainable land management practices can foster long term commitment and ownership of initiatives, ensuring their success and sustainability. By combining these strategies and adapting them to specific environmental, socio-economic conditions of each desert region, it is possible to make significant strides in greening deserts and promoting ecological restoration and resilience. However, it is essential to approach desert greening projects with caution, considering potential ecological, social, and economic impacts, and to prioritize sustainable and adaptive management practices. Of each desert region, it is possible to make significant strides in greening deserts and promoting ecological restoration and resilience. However, it is essential to approach desert greening projects with caution, considering potential ecological, social, and economic impacts, and to prioritize sustainable and adaptive management practices. By combining these strategies and adapting them to specific environmental and socio-economic conditions of each desert region, it is possible to make significant strides in greening deserts and promoting ecological restoration and resilience. However, it is essential to approach the desert greening projects with caution, considering the potential ecological, social, and economic impact, and to prioritize sustainable and adaptive management practices. What can be steps possible for these? Implementing desert greening initiative involves a multifaceted approach that integrates various steps and strategies. Here are structured plan outlining the possible steps for greening deserts. Assessment and planning. Conduct thorough assessment of the desert region to understand its ecological, climatic, and socio-economic characteristic. Identify areas prone to desertification and degradation, as well as potential sites for greening interventions. Engage with local communities, stakeholders, and experts to gather insights and perspective on the challenges and opportunities for desert greening. Set goals and objectives. Define clear goals and objectives for desert greening project, considering ecological restoration, biodiversity conservation, water resource management, and socio-economic development. Establish measurable indicators to monitor progress and evaluate the effectiveness of greening interventions over time. Develop a comprehensive strategy. Design a holistic strategy that integrates a range of greening techniques and approaches tailored to the specific needs and conditions of the desert region. Prioritize interventions based on their potential impact, feasibility, and cost effectiveness. Consider the long term sustainability and resilience of greening initiatives, taking into account ecological, social, and economic factors. Water management and conservation. Implement water management measures such as rainwater harvesting, drip irrigation, and water efficient farming practices to optimize water use and minimize wastage. Explore innovative technology for water desalination and purification to provide fresh water resources for greening activities. Vegetation restoration and soil conservation. Undertake afforestation and reforestation projects using native plant species adapted to arid conditions. Implement soil conservation measures such as terracing, mulching, and erosion control to stabilize soils and promote vegetation growth. Introduce forestry and permaculture techniques to diversify vegetation covers and enhance ecosystem resilience. Community engagement and capacity building. Foster community participation and ownership of desert greening initiative through inclusive decision-making processes and stakeholder engagement. Provide training and capacity building programs to equip local communities with the knowledge and skill needed to implement and manage greening projects effectively. Raise awareness about importance of desert ecosystems and sustainable land management practices through education and outreach activities. Policy support and institutional coordination. Advocate for supportive policies and regulations that promote sustainable land use and conservation and restoration effort in desert regions. Establish multi-stakeholder partnerships and collaborative frameworks to coordinate greening activities across sector and jurisdictions. Mobilize financial resources and investment incentive to support desert greening projects and initiatives. Monitoring and adaptive management. Develop monitoring and evaluation system to track the progress and impact of greening interventions on ecological, social, and economic indicators. Regularly view and adapt greening strategies based on monitoring data, scientific research, and feedbacks from stakeholders. Foster learning and knowledge sharing network to exchange best practices and lessons learned from desert greening experiences globally. By following these steps and adopting an integrated and participatory approach, desert greening effort can contribute to environmental sustainability, biodiversity conservation, and improved livelihoods for communities living in arid regions. Examples of cases for making desert green. Certainly, while transforming entire desert into green landscape is a monumental task that may take generations. There are several notable examples of successful desert greening initiatives and projects around the world. Here are some examples. The Great Green Wall, Africa. The Great Green Wall initiative aimed to combat desertification and land degradation in the Sahel region of Africa by creating a massive belt of vegetation across the continent, stretching over 8,000 kilometers from Senegal in the west to Djibouti in the east. The project involves planting trees, restoring degraded land, and implementing sustainable land management practices. It aims to provide multiple benefits, including soil conservation, biodiversity conservation, climate change mitigation, and socio-economic development for local communities. Al Baida Project, Saudi Arabia. The Al Baida project is a large-scale desert greening initiative in Saudi Arabia that focuses on sustainable agriculture and ecosystem restoration in the arid Al Baida region. Using innovative techniques such as rainwater harvesting, permaculture, and agroforestry, the project has transformed vast areas of desert into productive farmland and green oases. By restoring soil fertility, conserving water resources, and promoting biodiversity, the project aims to improve food security, create livelihood opportunities, and mitigate the impacts of desertification. Yakuba Swadogo's Farmers Managed Natural Regeneration, Burkina Faso. Yakuba Savadogo, a farmer from Burkina Faso, pioneered the farmer-managed natural regeneration (FMNR) technique to restore degraded land and combat desertification in the Sahel region. By selectively pruning the nurturing regenerating trees and shrubs, Sadogo has successfully restored vegetation cover, improved soil fertility, and enhanced water retention in barren landscape. His approach has been widely adopted by the farmers and communities across the Sahel, contributing to food security, resilience to climate change, and sustainable land management. Liaohe Delta. In the Liaohe Delta desert in northeastern China, afforestation effort has been undertaken to combat desertification and sandstorms. By planting millions of trees and shrubs and implementing soil conservation measures, degraded desert areas have been transformed into productive forests and green belt. These green corridors not only stabilize soil and prevent desert encroachment but also provide habitat for wildlife, mitigate air and water pollution, and create educational space for local residents. Israel's Negev Desert. Israel has implemented various desert greening initiatives in the Negev Desert, including afforestation project, drip irrigation system, and wastewater recycling technologies. By harnessing limited water resources effectively and introducing drought-resistant crops and agroforestry practices, Israel has managed to increase vegetation cover and agricultural productivity in arid regions. These efforts have not only mitigated desertification but also supported economic development and human settlement in the desert areas. These examples demonstrate that with innovative approaches, community involvement, and political commitment, desert greening is achievable and can bring about significant environmental, social, and economic benefits. However, it's essential to adapt strategies to the specific conditions and challenges of each desert region, ensure long-term sustainability and resilience of greening initiatives.